Hello students, this is your course on content marketing. In this video on developing a content strategy, we're going to talk about deciding target buyer segment and persona. So let's begin by understanding why buyer personas are important. First of all, buyer persona in essence is a representation or a written document that indicates who your target customers are and what exactly is it that they need. Customer need and preference is an important contributing factor in development of the content strategy, which we have been discussing repeatedly over the past few videos also, as soon as we started building the strategy. So whether you are setting your goals or you are trying to identify the right niche to operate within, ultimately everything boils down to what your customers need, what their preferences are, and with what kind of content you can actually convert them into paying customers. Now, if content marketers don't know who their target customers are, what value they are seeking, and how they wish to receive this value, there can never be a proper fit between the market demand and content marketing output. So, it's possible that your customer would want to consume content like videos, podcasts, webinars, and connect better with more visual, more appealing, creative, aesthetic kind of a content because yours is a brand that sells, let's say, accessories or home decor products. And what you are producing under your content campaign are social media posts, which are more verbose in nature, and you are publishing blogs. And although there is some representation of your products there, it's just not really connecting with your target audience. So, what is happening here is that the content marketer never thought of what the customer likes to consume in the form of content and simply went ahead and did the most natural, most basic thing that is required out of a content campaign and started creating written, verbal kind of a content, which may have some impact and may appeal to some small segment of the market, but it would not have the desired effect. It would not improve the brand image. It would not really connect with the larger chunk of the customers because they are not getting what they want from the brand. So they would, of course, continue to buy if they're already paying customers, but they would not really relate with the brand as an entertainer, as an educator, or as someone that can be seen as a thought leader in a particular industry. So it's important for a content marketer and for the organization that is investing in content marketing to understand who their target customers are. Now, defining buyer personas and target customer segments help in understanding customer needs in an empathetic manner. Empathetic means that you are looking at things from the customer's point of view, and therefore you are trying to understand what challenges they face, what needs they feel deeply, what kind of solution they are searching, and what are the holdups they have before buying a product or a solution. And when you start seeing things from your customer's perspective, you also start understanding what kind of content can best appeal to them. So this basically leads to creation of content that is relevant, value adding, and is presented in the format that the customer wants. So ultimately the idea here is that you have a vision, you have a view of what your target customer looks like, what their requirements are, their preferences are, their needs are, and what is their lifestyle, how do they consume content, what kind of content they consume. So you have created a bio of your customer based on which you get motivated to produce content. So that becomes like a leading indicator for you that what kind of formats to choose, what kind of content to produce, what kind of tone you should have in your content also. Now, buyer personas can have some typical components, and from a content marketing perspective, capturing these components means you will have to talk to some of your existing customers, or you will have to research your market a little bit and see that your company's products and services is being bought by what kind of people out there. So a typical buyer persona can include, first of all, the demographic and psychographic information about the customer. Demographics are the age, the gender, the income, and it can also include education, occupation. So what you can see here is, in a typical buyer persona format, you have been given the name and the age of the person at the top, and there at times there can be a photograph also. So if you have that kind of information, so the name and the age itself is indicating to you the gender and the age group within which the customer lies. Then this person is a CEO of a large financial company, which means his own income is supposed to be in a good affluent bracket. So that is an indicator of what kind of products and services can appeal to this person. So this person has been in this role for 10 years. So this is definitely an experienced, educated person who's in an assured kind of an occupation. And then you have psychographic indicators like he's an innovator, likes to communicate via email or face to face, reads financial and economic publications, and attends financial conferences. So you get an idea of what kind of person it is that you are going to connect with your content communication. Then you try to identify that how exactly such a customer, so this Steve, who is in his late 40s and is a CEO of a company and consumes the kind of content that you want to produce. This is not a one and only person out there. You would have many, if not thousands, hundreds of customers that are resembling Steve in his demographic and psychographic profile for you. So, this buyer persona is going to represent all those customers. So, what you need to next identify is that this particular kind of customer, how do they find you? So, it's possible that they get attracted through a referral. It's possible that they come to the website on their own whenever they have to begin their buying journey. It's possible that he isn't interested in using the information on the site beyond research. So, what you need to identify here is that Steve and hundreds of thousands of customers like Steve who match this particular profile, how do they come to know about you? Because knowing this would mean there could be some gaps in your brand awareness campaign and how you can fill them with your content campaigns. Then you also have to identify their pain points, because if you can alleviate some of these pain points through your value adding content, you can establish yourself as a preferred brand for this particular type of customer. So for this particular buyer persona, let's say the pain points can be the size of the service team is very important. And there are, if there are other people involved in the buying decision, then this person cannot take the buying decision independently. Then he wants a competitive price and a strong experience. So these are the essentials. These are non-negotiables, you can say also, which are important to be captured. And therefore, whatever content you are going to send his way should be taking care of these things. That it should be talking about your price and how competitive it is, the experience that you can offer, then what is the size of your service team and how that is going to affect the overall service experience that you can offer to Steve and his company. Similarly, you also have to take into consideration that what he wants to know, what are the key information points that he's seeking, and you have to capture those kind of information points in your blogs, your videos, the white papers, your email marketing campaigns, any which way, or social media posts also for that matter. So, any which way you're connecting with this particular buyer. And what he doesn't want to know is something that you should be keeping hidden or keeping a low profile of in your content also. Especially if this is the biggest buyer persona that you are dealing with and is bringing the maximum possible business to you. So, ultimately, you need to define why he buys from you. And if this is something that is setting you apart in the market, then this should be the highlight of your content campaign. So, covering all these things in a typical buyer persona means that you can actually have a good understanding of who you're talking to, and you can build your content campaigns around this particular person, thus connecting better with them. Now, to create and use buyer personas, you have to start by asking the right questions. The questions should be to the point and focus on gathering important information. And who are you asking these questions? You're asking these questions to your existing customers or your potential customers in order to understand them better. Believe me, there are customers out there who are, if they're happy with your service and your product, they would be very forthcoming with their buying experience. They would want to share insights and information with you that could make their future buying experience also better. And they would also want to contribute in such a fashion that for others in the market, it would become easier to find your product and find your solution and get connected with you. Then, once you have started asking questions to these customers, create categories to segment information and avoid getting in mess. So, basically, create clear categories of the information that you want to capture in the buyer persona, and maybe work with a template so that you don't digress and you don't collect information which you're not going to use anywhere but would land up confusing you. Then you must remember to ask the right people. If you're not asking these questions to your target audience and you're basically focusing on rare cases within your customer set, you will land up with information which is going to negatively affect your content campaign and your design of the buyer persona also. So find your target audience to answer your questions by researching your database. Find out patterns in your existing customers and do a market research to find prospects if you don't have an existing customer database. So ultimately, you need to understand that your target customers are the ones who are going to bring you the maximum business. So the most profitable segments, the ones that have given you revenue in the past, the ones that are expected to give you revenue the most, are the ones that you should be focusing on. Then ask the right way. You can maybe use surveys, conduct interviews, and do secondary research if that is the way you want to go. Then your questions should be organized and appropriate for your target audience and easy to understand and answer. You must ask for reasons behind particular answers to understand behavior. Ultimately, it's not just a Q&A exercise. What you are trying to do here is better understand your customer. And you don't understand by asking yes and no or black and white questions. You dig deep, you probe, and you try to understand if a customer is behaving in a certain way, why they are behaving like that. And can you do something? Can your content be designed in such fashion that can help them manage their situation and quickly turn them into your paying customers? Then communicate the findings to your customers also. Once you've analyzed the findings and created a buyer persona, communicate it with all employees as well as your customers. Why customers? To cross check whether what you've identified is right. But more than that, once you have created these personas, share that with the entire content team so that everyone is on the same page and they should know the buyer's persona like the back of their hands. They should know who is it that they are writing for, who is it that they are shooting videos for, who is it they are organizing webinars for, or who is it that they're connecting with on the social media platforms. Having this clarity will definitely keep your content marketing campaign very, very consistent, and there would be very less departure from the theme or the image that you want to create around your brand through your content. Also, you should create negative personas, which are people who are, they're not interested in what you are trying to say. They are not interested in your marketing and sales efforts, and therefore they should be completely ignored and excluded from your marketing and sales efforts. Which means that you should be able to identify if you are creating content even accidentally for these people. You should stop doing it and you should refine your content to better target your actual target customers. Then you should modify content to match buyer personas. Once you have a clear buyer persona in mind, you should create content that aligns with your findings. It should appeal to your target audience and capture their attention. It should take care of their pain points. It should help them find you better. It should help them choose you better. And then Time to time, invest in targeted marketing. After you have your buyer persona and your tailored content, create targeted campaigns, maybe through social platforms, or maybe through your YouTube channel, your website, or even your email campaign. Reach out to these target customers and provide them the value of content which you have created, especially for them. Look at what the best channels are for your target audience and strategize accordingly. So that's about understanding and creating buyer persona for creating a valuable content strategy and then executing on it. Next up, we'll talk about selection of content formats. Until then, thank you.